Hey everyone, in this in-studio session, I want to show you how I managed to get a photo of the drummer, especially the effect on those drumsticks, without using Flash. So if you've been following my YouTube channel for a while, you will know that I always talk about lighting. As photographers, you have to understand lighting, all types of lighting, how to use it, how to control it, its limitations, etc. And this is no different. So in this example, I was shooting a band live on stage. Now, for anyone that's shot bands before, you will know that using Flash is a major no-no. At no point can you use Flash and shoot Flash at a band playing on stage. It's just not a thing to do. So when you're shooting band photos, you have to use the lights that are available to you, which is the stage lighting. That's it. There's not usually the venue lights are off and you're just limited to the stage lights that have been set up by the venue. Now, when it comes to light, there are different types of lights. You have constant lights like tungsten lighting, which light up the stage normally. But you also have these effects light called movers, which you can see in this picture here. Now, movers originally used to have a constant light source and used to have a shutter to actually turn it on and off. But the light would strike on and would be lit up throughout the entire set. Modern lights like these use LED lights because they can be turned on and off much quicker and can be controlled with much more accuracy than simply using a constant light with a shutter mechanism, very similar to the aperture blades on your lens. So the thing about LED lights is that in some cases you can control the brightness by varying the voltage, which is the way you would adjust the brightness of a normal tungsten light globe. However, in many situations, LED lights are controlled by pulse wave modulation, or PWM. What this simply means is that an LED takes, even though to our eyes it's almost instant, an LED actually does take time from when you turn it on to go up to full brightness. So what pulse wave modulation does, or PWM, is that it actually turns that LED on and off at a very rapid rate so that it never reaches full brightness. Now, to our eyes and to the cameras, it actually looks like constant light. So to us, it makes no difference. However, if you have something moving extremely fast, like the drumsticks in this picture, what will happen is that strobing LED effect actually gives you that strobing effect in your images. So it's almost like having a flash on strobe and taking multiple exposures in one frame. So what I want to show you is what I've done here is I've got this LED light and it's hooked up to a dimmer, which you can't actually see. And what I can do is I can bring it up to full brightness, which you can see there, or I can actually dim it down, which hopefully you can see on camera there. So that's quite dim. And then you get to a point where it just turns off. So that goes from a very dim LED all the way up to a very bright one. Now, when we have the LED at full brightness, it means it's just getting its full voltage. There's no PWM. And if I move this quite rapidly, you can actually see that it's just a constant streak of light. So here is actually a freeze frame of that LED moving through the frame. And you can see it's like a constant streak. Now, if we actually bring this down, and that basically what it means is that the lower the brightness, the more the LED is flashing. So at minimum brightness, which you can see there, if I now move this through, what you should be able to see, each individual LED almost like it's actually strobing. It's no longer just the one solid streak. And that's basically what happens in this case, is that because that we had with the way the stage lights were set up, there was a moving head right behind the drummer. And what I did is I waited for that to come around and illuminate him from behind. I took that photo. This photo is taken at 1/125th of a second, which is quite a fast shutter speed. And as the drumstick falls through the frame, the strobing effect of that moving light has given us this effect. Now, the reason this has worked is, like I said, these lights strobe extremely fast, like up to 2,000 times a second, which is why to our eyes it still looks like a constant light source. So you saw from when I was moving that LED light through the frame how fast I had to move it before you actually saw individual lights coming through the streak. And that is basically the key. Like if it wasn't a drummer, if he wasn't drumming and moving so fast in the frame, that effect would not have worked. But because of how fast he's striking the drums, that drumstick actually gives us that effect. And you can actually see that because the rest of the scene is nice and sharp. The drummer is not strobed. His arms are actually have that motion blur to it as well. They're not strobed, but just motion blurred because they were moving so much slower. So to that fast pulsing light, it was more of a constant light effect than the drumstick. So the point of this video is just to show you that you have to know and understand every light source there is. As photographers, painting with light or writing with light is a definition of photography. And for those that have followed my channel, you have heard me say this over and over again. And being able to understand different lighting technologies and how they work will allow you to actually get really, really creative even in situations like this where you really have no control of light. So by knowing that LED light is strobing, by knowing how fast the drum is playing, we've managed to get this really cool look. The client absolutely loved this image, which is what this is all about. Now, everyone else on stage, the guitarist, the singer, they're all lit up just as if it was a constant light. Even though it's the same light source lighting everybody, they're simply not moving fast enough for that strobing effect to work. So hopefully it's a nice short video, but hopefully this sort of gives you an idea of different lighting technologies and what can be done and what can be achieved. And I encourage you to research new, when you hear about new lights, research them, find out how they work, and use that to try and break the rules to make some creative images. Now, on the note of LEDs and PWM, a lot of LED panels, when you dim LED panels, they actually use PWM technology as well. So in the past, what would happen was with the older style LED panels, if you use them for video, is that at certain brightnesses, you actually get like a pulsing effect come through. That pulsing is literally that PWM effect that's coming through as the camera's shooting all the frames. New LED panels have a much faster refresh rate and a much better LEDs. So even though they're still strobing, they're strobing at such a high rate in proportion to, or in relation, sorry, to your frame rate of your video that you don't actually see that anymore. So that also you need to keep an eye out if you are looking at doing some video work. But for photography, unless you're doing really, really fast action sequences, any LED lights will work. Obviously, there's a whole nother topic I want to cover on LEDs as far as color accuracy is concerned, but this is all about the movement. So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. And if you have, please give it a thumbs up, as it helps my videos work their way through the YouTube algorithms. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. There's a lot more videos coming this year, and see you at the next one.